Thank God I ain't about the old life, I ain't about the old way, cause they said a new season. The old man gon' try to survive with the lies, he despise how you stopping your demons. He wants you to feed yourself, tough yourself, gorgeous yourself, put yourself out of your reason. He wants you to walk away from the light, walk us like him and forget about Jesus.
Well, Coach T, husband, son, my screen is over here where I can see my notes. Let me just pull it here. Husband, son, nephew, friend, world builder,
Come
extreme
on.
execution coach, real
Oh,
estate mogul, business executive, entrepreneur, community advocate. The list continues. Where do we start? Let's start with
man.
hearing your story and what drove you to the level of success you've achieved to date. That's the first.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question to start off at. I would probably have to say out of the gate, failure. I think growing up in San Francisco and really looking and being inspired by different people in terms of growing up in the housing projects in San Francisco called West Side. You had limited resources and tools to do anything, so
Mhm.
you get pretty creative on your desires and dreams. And I think as we grow, um, we're inspired by different people in some form of fashion. So I would definitely say, having the desire,
Okay.
to grow,
Hmm.
but embracing failure along the way is one of the most beautiful things that we all can do. It's almost like a song, if you would, where you embrace the song, the melody, the lyrics,
Right. Yeah. I get
and
it.
and that creates the pathway and the framework for you and I.
Okay. I love it. So you're pretty much saying your childhood is what really was the mindset of around the push, the lack of resources, being in, growing up in San Fran, and you saw across the street where, you were in projects, but you were seeing these developments and things being built, and you wanted more, pretty much.
Pretty much, but in high school, is really kind of where things began to take off a little bit
Hmm.
because my mom got me into sports at a very, very early age, and that was to keep us off the streets as much as possible, and it worked for a little bit.
Okay.
Because come in high school, we started stealing cars, and I remember one year we stole probably over 100 cars easily,
Wow.
and it just became a normality of this lifestyle. And we weren't that smart to actually steal them and then hawk them for price. We were just
Right.
joyriding, you know.
Yeah.
And that really was a part of the environment and culture that we were a part of. Now, successfully, we were actually all playing sports. So many of us was playing football and everything, and many of us were actually pretty good. So we end up winning the city championships twice, back to back champions, and many of us became all these accolades and everything else. And it showed us what success looked like, even at a small level. But the mindset began to really, really start to develop into, okay, you know what? We can really start doing things a little different. And as we evolve and change, and going off to San Jose State really gave me the exposure of really what life could really be like outside of San Francisco. You know, I,
Okay.
al- I always wondered why people love San Francisco, and I was like, oh, I get it. When you move out and you move out of
Hmm.
your area, you expand, your horizon and resources and tools and people.
Yeah.
You realize the world is way bigger
Right.
than our little cub and our neighborhood. And you know.
Right. Okay. I love it. All right. So you are the master of LOPs and SOPs. So first, I want you to explain what they are, who needs them, and why. Why do we
Okay.
need them as entrepreneurs, professionals, business people, or just a person who wants to master and take over their household?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Well, you know, SOPs and LOPs. So in college, I worked for a law firm called Pillsbury, Madison, and Sutro.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things that they gave me was this pamphlet. And on the front of it, it said SOP. Read it, study it, learn it so that you can minimize our liability as much as possible. So, I was pretty geek, Joy. And I really was hoping that maybe this was a new pathway for me in some form or fashion. And
Okay.
um, I started to understand, oh, offices and work environments is really nothing more than a set of steps
Mm-hmm.
that allows us to do things and to do your job in a role and responsibility way so that you don't
Okay.
put yourself as well as the firm in any harm way as possible. So that was my first introduction to an organized business that wanted to be effective and as well as make sure that everybody within the firm was executing what they needed to execute. Okay, fast forward, I got into real estate in 1996.
Okay.
And when I first got into real estate, funny story is I actually failed the test like 5 times. And
Okay. Wow.
and because I had a desire to get into real estate, and I was seeing all these moguls and everything else, and I said, "Well, how hard could it be?" And
Mm-hmm.
and when I got back from San Jose State, I immediately got into taking the tests, and I aligned myself with successful entrepreneurs, and I was looking for people who was walking the walk.
Okay.
And after taking the test, I finally got licensed. So
Nice.
so 1996 was my launch date in terms of being this great mogul.
Okay.
I went out to most people in the San Francisco area knows the Ceremony Malls. So I went out to the Ceremony Mall, got me a sweatsuit
Okay.
that said "Page me." I am your life realtor. Oh, it was hilarious.
I love it.
And a few months in, I just knew I was going to be highly successful. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have a car. So
Okay.
who gets into real estate without having a car?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, not
Nah,
not a
it
whole
don't
lot.
match. You don't
Yeah,
show the houses. I get it.
not a whole lot of people. So thankfully, I got licensed in San Francisco, and,
Okay.
and that way you can get around the city almost anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would go show properties um, in San Francisco on the bus,
Okay.
and
Wow.
and so any client that I had, we would look at properties, in person, but we was only going to go see one property.
Mm-hmm.
So I would schedule the appointment, meet them there, um, uh, 30 minutes or 15 minutes early. And, I would have the house already ready, open, and so forth. And when they came, they didn't know that I just took the bus,
Right.
but yeah, it was all bus related. And then after we finished, I told them, go ahead and go. I'll catch up with you later. I'll shut down and get back on a bus. So
Okay.
so this was a grit,
Mm-hmm.
if you would, that was developing.
Okay.
And I think, when you learn grit, when you learn desire, you'll figure out different ways that's going to help make you successful.
Mm-hmm.
And like almost any business, when you're growing up and you get into business, you feel like the floodgates are going to open up,
Right.
and everybody's going to come to you because you're in this industry now.
Right. Right. So are you saying from this is how you derive your LOP and SOPs? Like, what are they? If someone in my audience wants to know, well, what is an LOP? What is an SOP? Where do they
Yes.
go? Where do they start?
So I didn't know the terminology back then, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of what it was, but then I realized we all have life operating principles, and these life
Okay.
operating principles are literally based on you and I experiences,
Mm-hmm.
you and I success, you,
Okay.
you and I failures.
Mm-hmm.
And if we think about it, we all have our own playbook.
Okay.
We may not call it that. We may
Mm-hmm.
call it journaling. We
Mm-hmm.
may call it having a memo. Uh,
Okay.
but the reality is, you and I have a set of routines and,
Right.
and a set of systems that is allowing us to make impact or influence or just being absolutely terrible.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I've done several things, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 times, expecting different results, and nothing, it just didn't work.
Yeah.
We have to be intelligent enough and smart enough at some point to say, you know what, this ain't working.
That's right.
And maybe it's the people that's around you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's systems that you're doing on a daily basis that keeps allowing you to have forced errors.
Mm-hmm. I
In
like that.
basketball,
Forced errors. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, in basketball, they call it forced errors,
Mm-hmm.
because you get the ball taken from you or you pass the ball to somebody else of the other team. Those are forced errors
Okay.
that has nothing to do with anybody else except you.
Right. You're right.
So we have to put the mirror up to ourselves to say, what is my LOPs in terms of developing the better version of myself?
Right.
Don't look at anybody else. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
can, but you look at them not in a envious manner. You look at them like, okay, such and such is doing a really, really great job at this.
Right.
And lowering your ego to learn different things from different people, that is one of the better ways to learn how to discover and uncover your greatness. So, again, going back to real estate, we all have life
I like
operating
that.
principles that make us successful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my second year in real estate, I met a mentor by the name of Curtis Oakes, COA
Okay.
banker, great guy. He was one of the top real estate professionals in San Francisco. And he allowed me to actually make a connection for several months.
Nice.
Um, he allowed me to tag along. He allowed me, he showed me how to make appointments. He showed me how to do follow ups. He showed me how to
Okay.
make phone calls,
Wow.
which is very similar to how I make them today. It's
Mm-hmm.
based on him.
Wow.
And so we learn tactics,
Okay.
strategies that maybe we know, maybe we don't know, but it
Mm-hmm.
makes us effective in some form or fashion if we're paying attention. But
Okay.
but we also have to pay attention to the LOPs that are not working.
Right. Y'all heard that, didn't you?
Life operating principles is a set of routines and systems and habits that are ingrained in us because of
Mm-hmm.
our experiences, and it puts us where we are today. Now,
Okay.
knowing the playbook is only one portion of it.
Right.
The question is, are you, me, we, and us in the driver's seat?
Right.
We may not be in the driver's seat. You may be in the passenger seat, or you may be in the back.
Right. Ooh, that's real.
So
That's real.
we have to slow down, to speed up, so that we can begin to say, okay, am I in the driver's seat of my life? Okay. If I'm not, that's 100% okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I am, then obviously I have a idea of what the playbook is. Now I need to start architecting. And it's always best to start documenting your success as well as your failures.
Okay.
Okay? Because this becomes a part of who we are.
Yeah.
You ever get into your zone and you're like, oh, can't nothing stop me. I know I'm gonna be successful, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the God zone. Okay.
Okay.
That God zone it allows us to really pivot at a really, really high level when we are in that zone.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the noise of life has a way of getting in the way
Yeah.
or getting us off track,
Mm-hmm.
and our emotional barometer starts to go down, down.
Okay.
All right. This is human nature.
Mm.
However, because we have systems and routines, we have to know that, okay, I've been in the God zone before.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, how do I get there more often than not?
Okay. So that
Because
goes into I want to pull you into it sounds like we're heading into the supreme confidence. How does supreme confidence tie into this? Because in order to get to that place, it sounds like your esteem is up when you're in the God zone confidence. How do you stay there? For my viewers, my listeners who are up and down, entrepreneurs, professionals, even for their youth, children emulate what their parents do, not what they say. So even for a kid and a parent tag teaming, when the parent does well, so does the kid. We have those resilient kids, those outliers. So how do we tie the supreme? What's the supreme confidence? How does that tie into that?
is I don't have the answer to that, but I will tell you what I did in order to get me there,
Okay.
so that there is a pathway and a blueprint that we all can use. The recipe may be a little different. You may put more salt, more pepper, on different strategies and so forth. But knowing that you can get in the driver's seat
Mm-hmm.
of this confidence, you can get in the driver's seat of your best version of you. And I realized when I was really, really down and low, um, what I needed to do in order to pivot, I realized there's an old activity that Eastern cultures have been using for thousands and thousands of years, and they develop mantras. And
Love
oh,
it. I
oh,
love it.
oh, come on, talk that talk.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, I am happy,
Ooh,
healthy, wealthy, focused, disciplined, and enthusiastic. I am bold. I am unstoppable. I am undeniable. I am a world builder.
let's go.
And see, they utilize these mantras in different ways to create a energy frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And these energy frequency is like us listening to music. Sometimes it can get us in a mood, sometimes it can get us up, sometimes it can get us down.
That's right.
But when we understand what the frequency is, now we can begin to be in the driver's seat of our life, because mantras is only the beginning to life declarations. And life declarations is talked about in the Bible. You declare to the world, this is who you are, this is what you declare. But declaring takes work.
Let's go. You already knew what I had on my paper over here. We just writing on, we just flowing on into my next question and everything, which was, why do the most successful people have mantras and what are they? How are they used?
Mantras, everybody use them somewhat differently, and that is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a beginner stage of adopting a mantra that includes your values and principles of
Okay.
your life.
Mm-hmm.
Things that you know that you are great at, things that you have superpowers in, and things that you know that you don't have that will make you a better version of you.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what that is, but whatever that is for people in terms of who they are and who they want to be, you want to get in the habit of saying your mantras at least 7 to 12 times a day.
Okay.
Bare minimum. Bare minimum.
Yeah, I heard that, didn't you?
Just
Minimum.
minimum. Because that's just a start. Because
Yeah.
what you and I and we and us are fighting is against all the noise that's out there in the world. All the negativity, the subliminal stuff that you don't know is actually being buried in you and I's subconscious mind.
All right. Come on, T. Come on, T. I promise you must have peeked in some of my Word doc before you hopped in on this call. Let's go.
You should have sent it to me. Well, Muhammad Ali had it,
Mm-hmm.
and he had several mantras, but one of his famous ones was, I am the greatest. And
Mm-hmm.
if you study him, he would say his mantra over 100 times a day.
Come on.
Why? Because I am the greatest. He didn't not just want to be great in the ring, but he wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be great outside of the ring.
Right.
And sometimes we need those reminders to help us combat the subconscious thoughts
Okay.
that are buried very, very deep
Mm-hmm.
into our subconscious mind, and they're called traumas and triggers.
Okay. So as we bleed into the subconscious, that's what I was going to ask. So how does the subconscious mind play a role in our daily lives, current and future behaviors? Because it sounds like the mantra is what's going to help rewire it, and that's why we're saying it over and over. But how is that, tied to our subconscious, mind, and how
Yeah,
do we reprogram it? So are we reprogramming it with the mantras? How
yeah.
does it play a role in our daily lives and future?
No, that's a great question. And there's actually about 10 studies out there from Harvard to Yale, to book studies or white studies that actually show that you want to find a way to increase your frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And the frequency allows us to be more conscious in terms of what you and I are attempting to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Because the subconscious mind has so many narratives and stories about who you and I are. We
Mm-hmm.
call that a identity. Okay,
Come
because
on.
a identity is a person or or things that you have been taught about yourself that actually may not be necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I have to say, okay, is this real? Like, does this really shape who I know that I really am?
Mm-hmm.
And you may have to question yourself because an identity is just the formation of the world, the noise, the experiences that we've had that may not actually have been good. So we have to develop this identity that says,
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 no. You are 1, 2, and 3. You know, you hear
Mm-hmm.
me say I am a world builder a lot, but a world builder is not trying to take over the world. The world builder is saying, look, let's get inside so that you are a better version of you,
Right.
so that those who are around you will benefit
Mm-hmm.
from the clarity that is in your playbook.
Let's go.
Now, your playbook may be in writing, maybe it's in your head,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, but we got a
Yeah.
playbook.
Right.
And the question is, how's that playbook working for you?
Mm-hmm.
How's your morning routine? How's your evening routine?
Yeah.
How's your network?
Mm-hmm.
How's your networking?
Right.
Because collecting business cards are not necessarily network. See,
Right.
we have to learn how to network so that we learn about people, they learn about us,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully we grow into a better individual over time just by noticing, you know what, I need to make some corrections on this, or I noticed this trigger that really took me down a rabbit hole, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I'm going to change that narrative.
Right.
Well, how do you do that? You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's all these operating systems in our head and in our mind
Okay.
that takes us and gets us the results that we want. So we have to be very, very conscious of our subconscious, because studies have shown 90 to 90% of our activities is based on subconscious.
Right.
So
Okay.
we gotta figure that out so that we can start taking more control over the subconscious mind.
Okay. And I think, that's through the mantras pretty much. So I guess we're moving into mindset and it's flowing, perfectly. Is we spoken previously in the past about quantum supremacy. And I want you just to speak to that and how it relates to mindset in regards to the quote, drown out your fears. What can you briefly just, let my viewers know what quantum supremacy is and how it relates to mindset and what you think about drown out your fears? What does that mean? What does that
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Well, that means dream big. Like we really, like in a very elementary way, like we gotta move fast, and we don't know how much time we got. Like you're great. We know we're great. Okay. But we also have these dreams and desires, and it's like, how do I get there, and how do I do it fast?
Right. Yes.
So we have to incorporate and increase our value and principle standard,
Mm.
because sometimes what we do throughout the day may not be a good use of our time.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to begin mastering structure, frameworks that says, you know what? I don't need to be doing 1, 2, and 3. So you almost do an audit, an inventory of your life and your day and week and so forth. And does it really align up with your dream? How should I be thinking and dreaming, of in terms of becoming the best version of myself? That
Mm-hmm.
may mean not necessarily cut off people like I ain't messing with them no more. Sometimes the gold standard by which you have and adopt for yourself, people start recognizing Sister J ain't the same. I
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but something is very, very different. And when we rise and create the gold standard by which you and I operate, then we start raising the level of impact, raising
Mm-hmm.
the level of influence that you and I have based on our goals and objectives, whatever that may be. But
Mm-hmm.
but the goal is to be very, very clear on where you want to go. Now, do you have all the answers just yet? Maybe not. Doesn't
Right.
matter.
Yeah.
But you do have a very, very clear picture of your dreams and desires. And most people who know me, I have a manual, which is my playbook
Mm-hmm.
for the last 15 years of just stuff that worked, stuff that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And it just helped me in my decision making process so that I'm making decisions that are value add.
Right.
And value can be defined by you and me. And we can come up with a good answer. We can come up with, you know, element. But as you start focusing on what value you bring to yourself and to others,
Mm-hmm.
you start making different decisions
Mm-hmm.
on going out on a Thursday night, knowing you and the husband got weekend plans for the whatever.
Yeah.
We have to start raising up the gold standard and
Mm-hmm.
defining what that is so that our decision making process will begin to align, and you don't deal with negativity. Like
Amen.
it if it comes, you strategically outline what it is and how to
Mm-hmm.
deal with it and what's going on around it. But it doesn't take you down a rabbit hole. It doesn't take you down that messes up your entire day, if not the entire week.
Exactly. And what I just recently learned about myself is that when I give myself plenty of time to get to where I'm going versus zoom, 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 even though I like to drive fast, I ain't even gonna lie. I like to drive fast. But when I am driving, I'm always learning. So if when I give myself time to get where I'm going, it just flows so much more smooth. Even when I get to the destination.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I'm just zoom, 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 it's like it's more. I'm running into road rage in the car. I'm dealing with people who short patience. When I get to wherever I'm going, I'm being short patient. I was like and then I try to say, okay, let me give myself plenty of time, and
Yeah,
everything was just a plus, and that's back to
yeah,
that gold standard. Learning what's working and what's not working.
yeah. And you start setting intentions.
Mm-hmm.
So even if the intention is for 30 minutes, like
Yeah.
what's the intention of me driving from one place to another that's going to take me 20 something minutes?
Right.
Let me get one thing out of this drive.
That's right.
you know, now,
Yeah.
now if you want to listen to music, cool, do you.
Right.
If it's going to pump you up and get ready for whatever you about to do, cool.
Run it. I love it.
But again, this goes back to our subconscious mind. Like we have so much in there
Yeah.
to unpack that we have to begin to shift and pivot the narrative
Mm-hmm.
so that we evolve as a greater person, by which you and I know that we're great, but what does that actually mean, and how can we be more impactful while putting the blinders on? Because
Right.
when you're driving down the street and you hear all this noise, it, negativity can be very, very distractive.
You're right. You're right. I love it. I love it. You just answering. I mean, the conversation is flowing so freely as it's supposed to, and it's right into my next question. Can you speak briefly just about how important it is to have a schedule and checklist along consistency in goal setting and achievement? Like, how is it important? Because I know you are very strategic in your day and planning and months and time management. And, for entrepreneurs or people who may not be an entrepreneur professional, they have kids, schedules, they want to start a business, have a business. How is it important for the success
Uh,
of the person to have a scheduled checklist and goal setting?
everybody's going to be a little different. So I'll share with you my pathway. My cousin and I started a nonprofit called the King's Accountability Group. CB Phillips, Joe Cannon, Mark Martinez, and this year theme is called consistency.
Mm.
so so when you said it, I was like, oh, okay, we going down there.
Let's go.
Look, the reality is you and I are constantly going in and out of SOPs, LOPs, SOPs, LOPs, SOPs, LOPs. But when we break it down more, we're able to discover and uncover, okay, I need to create a fixed schedule that is very dreamlike, meaning that if everything went well for the week, I have recovery, I have family, I have business, I have everything that needs to be in there relating to an ideal, impactful, value add week. That's a fixed schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But like ducks, they never stay in order. So, so we have to understand what a flex schedule is, because when events, circumstances, life happens, we sometimes have to roll over into a flex schedule. So again, life, fix, flex, fix, flex. And flex is nothing more than priority.
Mm.
And when you have a design priority, then you start thinking about the activities that you know
Mm-hmm.
you need to be focusing on, and you want to get those items completed as much as possible when you have the most energy in the day.
Right.
And when you have a flex schedule, well, the first question that you need to ask yourself is, what is the highest priority that I need to be doing right now,
Mm-hmm.
personal or business? Okay. And we're intelligent enough to kind of decipher what's important now and what's not important and so forth. But this allows us to go to the next mantra, and
Mm-hmm.
that is do it now.
Yeah.
Like whatever that is, do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we do in our fix and flex schedule is we ponder over activities, and we want the activity to be perfect before we do it.
Right.
So we have to outpace the procrastination that says, well, we could be doing this. We could be. No. I'm sorry.
Ooh, so true.
What's your life declaration again? I am happy, healthy, wealthy, focused, disciplined.
Right.
Pause. Because if we have a life declaration, it helps us to navigate through all the noise. And if we
Right.
have different mantras that to help say, look, let's go in and do it now.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't gonna be perfect. I know.
Yeah.
That's that's the beauty of doing it now.
Right.
So we have to create models and systems within our own life operating principle that help us execute regardless of the outcome. Now it may work.
Right.
You may have to change a few things,
Mm-hmm.
but guess what? You've gotten out of the gate.
Yeah.
So rather than ponder over your subconscious mind and you got an army of your subconscious ideas, you know,
Right. Yeah.
no, just go ahead and do it right now. Whatever that is,
Okay.
aligned with your life operating principles as well as your life declaration. So it is a pathway, and if you follow the pathway, it can really, really help you pivot when all the noise is going on, and when your subconscious mind said, girl, you ain't all that. But you like, I am all that. Well, prove it. Right. So
Right.
so we have to be able to navigate through the storyline and kill the identity
Mm.
that we have of ourselves to create the new identity that says you are the bomb.
Let's go. Let's go. I was going to ask a question really quickly. I'm not quite sure how you are, where you are with your time. I got a few more questions for
No, I'm
you.
good. Go for it.
Okay. So you said discipline, you mentioned consistency. So this goes into mental toughness. Can anybody develop mental toughness? People like 50
Oh, yeah.
Cent, Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson have developed this trait. But how can someone who doesn't even know, who doesn't have the consistency, who lacks the discipline, develop those things through mental toughness?
Yeah. We don't like discipline though. That's the problem. We like priority. You know,
Mm,
and if you saw the Michael Jackson movie, which is now the highest grossing
yes.
movie in the world, Michael had a mantra. Hello. Eh, Michael would do his mantra before he engaged. He had a system. He had LOPs
Yeah.
that made him effective. And see, sometimes it's just the little things, you know, and when you start doing the hard things first,
Mm,
you start now prioritizing the things that are most important and most relevant that is within your framework of becoming the best version of you.
hmm,
And see, we have, again, everybody's going to be a little different in terms of their life recipe. But
hmm.
when you have a base of getting out of the ground, okay, then now you can begin doing things and thinking about things and be able to be creative on things that is going to help you develop the better identity that is killing off
Mm.
the lie identity,
I
which is
love that.
hanging on to his very life.
Right. And I know you have a schedule, that's pretty consistent about, getting up at 4 a.m. How does one, which ties into the discipline and consistency, and they have this schedule, and then, oh, I'm going to do these things and it's set. And then the night comes the next morning, they hit snooze, and it's like a default setting in their mind. Is that part of, they say they have all these plans and they're going to do this thing and they even create a schedule for themselves. But, some of my people have messaged me and asked, what's the routine? How do I stay consistent? How do you not hit the snooze button? What do we say to those people who really want to get up at 4 or 5 or whatever time is good for them? Let's say even 6. How do they stay consistent and even do it on the weekends? Because that was a hard thing for me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 7 days a week, unless you got some special event that's going on. Listen, our lives are too important,
Mm-hmm.
and when you have a morning routine, that's great. You got this great idea. But the reality is, if your evening routine is not aligned with your
Mm-hmm.
morning routine, then you're going to always have challenges, temporary issues that's going to tell you, all you need is another hour. Just go for it. You know, your evening routine is designed for recovery. You work
Mm-hmm.
out, right? So it's we know that when we work out, muscles and everything, that's good. We have great diet, but if your recovery is terrible, then it's going to impact the rest of your thinking, the rest of your body, your health, and everything else. And over time, this will become a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to run into a brick wall that you can't go through.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing that you and I can do, and by the way, for those who are early people, it ain't about how early you get up. It is about when you do get up,
Mm-hmm.
what you do to get going to protect your mindset for the day to be dominated, then now you're able to execute at a higher level.
Right.
And you're able to tune out the noise. You're able to do all of the things that are necessary for you to have a good out of the gate type of day. And you don't engage with a whole bunch of people, by the time you get up. You want to get your thoughts together. You want to live in your life declaration and your mantra so that
Mm-hmm.
that is the pathway that you are going and starting off with.
I like that. So, which ties into my next question is what does it mean to be unreasonable with your goals? Being fanatical. I mean, I hear you talk about that. And People Airways. That was your air line, right?
Airlines.
How did in order to have that and even see the vision, you had to be unreasonable and being fanatical. Can you speak to that? What does that mean? Because we set goals, and when they don't seem to come into a fruition in a timely manner, we move on to the next thing, or we feel like we can't attain it. So we just stop and go back to the what's comfortable, or what feels attainable. What does it mean to be unreasonable, a fanatic?
Yeah. So I think, again, this is going to be different for everybody, but when we know what our limits are, we're able to push the limit.
Mm,
And many times it takes us just writing out dreams and goals that we may have. People Airways was like, there was five of the guys that we would meet in a cafe, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, let's create an airline." It's like, huh? Nobody here has airline experience.
mm,
So now that's thinking out of the box. And when you get with people who think out of the box, and that's why it's important to have these conversations and masterminds about what people are doing and so forth, because you know, Be Unreasonable was birthed by one of our kings, Clifton Mbagno. And Be Unreasonable was, okay, we're going to do things unreasonable. Okay. And everybody was like, yeah. Okay, what does that mean though? See, now you got to think it out.
mm-hmm,
Now you have to know what your limits are and what you're able to accomplish. And
mm-hmm,
sometimes being naive about what you can't do is actually a good thing.
mm-hmm,
You just kind of figure it out along the way by doing it now and figuring out what works, what don't work, and you start to live a life that is unreasonable.
mm,
Doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't it just means that you don't conform to whatever life that has been handed to you. Now, if you like the life that's been handed to you, cool. No,
mm-hmm.
no biggie, because don't sh- shouldn't everybody shouldn't test this life, because maybe it's just not for them. It it can be
I see what
stressful.
you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you. And I like that. That's being honest and real. I get it. It's for those people who really want to go, who want, the life that they truly say they want, the dream life, whatever that looks like for that person. It
Yes.
can be attained. But if you're not willing to be unreasonable, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. But if you are able to go through the storm, um, there could be a very nice rainbow at
That's
the
right.
at the end of the storm. Now, you have to figure out, are you
Yeah.
in it?
Right.
Are you willing to go through it? And
Yeah.
and that takes commitment. That takes,
Mm,
again, our life is constantly evaluating,
mm-hmm.
constantly living operational systems, constantly living out small successes, constantly living out small failures or big failures, and making the proper adjustment where you don't run into it again.
Mm-hmm.
constantly evaluating you and I time and space that we live in so
Right.
that we can begin, even today, living a life that we know is of value. We just have to walk into this identity, which sometimes makes you feel like imposter syndrome, but not really, because over time, when you start building these small successes, you start you start really, okay, you know what? There's that God zone again. I
Mm-hmm.
okay, let me operate in this God zone for however long that I'm in it so that I can begin seeing the fruits of my labor.
Okay, so which goes into what is the pyramid of success?
Well, I think the pyramid of success, it's a little different than I think your average norm because the foundation of our success has to be reality,
Mm-hmm.
has to be honesty, has to be integrity. The characteristics that we should have, but sometimes along our journey of life, it gets all mumbled up and
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what we are. And the success pyramid says, look, let's get the value and principle structure in place first.
Okay.
Because when we can start doing the value structure first, then we can start building upon the building blocks of our goals and dreams and desires that you and I want to have. And we can create operational processes and systems around that. And then we have our accountability,
Mm.
both for self as well as environment, that don't put up with a lower version of you.
Okay.
We may act a certain way, but it's really a simple process where we're constantly developing ourselves into this framework that is allows us and will allow us to get to the top of the pyramid. But again, the ingredients can be somewhat differently depending on who we are, how we grew up, parents, and all the other good stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't stop you even if you don't have any of that.
Okay. So one could, create their own pyramid for success pretty much, but it's still the basic. There should be some foundational things that everyone, you know, needs to pretty much start with, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but don't think of the pyramid outside of the playbook
Okay.
because the life playbook is the pyramid.
Okay.
And
Okay.
when we know where we are in life, now we can start building the playbook which operates like the pyramid. You know,
Okay.
because if we don't know what our triggers are, what our traumas are, and many times we don't know that stuff until they come up.
Right.
And if you don't know what that is, or you haven't gone a little deeper into your own personal playbook, life playbook, then you're going to keep hitting the same roadblock over and over again, and you never change the narrative. So
Right.
you never scale up because you constantly keep running the same plays that are getting you the same results.
Yeah, I like that. Ooh, that's real. What do you think Jeff Bezos meant by if you want a better life, you have to be willing to pay the true cost of a better life? What's the true cost?
Values and principles, because values and principles along our journey can destroy us or make us more successful. And you will notice some successful people, as they get success, they destroy their own selves.
Yeah.
They destroy their own selves by self-force errors.
Mm.
So, so I think once you create that framework, that structure by how you and I operate, people have to go through firewalls to get to you. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying not be available. I'm saying you got to come through, you got to make your
I
word
like that.
bond.
Mm-hmm. People got to come through firewalls to get to you. I love it. That's right. I
If
love it.
they, if if they say they want to have an appointment with you, okay, why? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the gold standard?
Right.
And before you meet up with someone in person, maybe you need to do a Zoom with them, do a
Right.
video conference with them first, and do a
Yeah.
5-minute interview.
Mm-hmm.
Our time is the most valuable thing that we have. We're never going to get that back.
That's right.
So I'll allow people to go through your process, whatever that is, so that by the time they come out on the other side, are they ready for you?
Let's go. Ooh, let's go. This has been amazing. As we wrap this up, if there is one thing that is burning on the inside of you right now that you'd like to say that I may not have asked, related or even unrelated to our discussion, please feel free to say it now.
Oh, life is simple, not easy. You know, we tend to make it harder than it is because of the circumstances and, you know, the noise that's out there in the world. We have to protect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We have to protect our families. We have to protect what's important to us so that you and I can operate at the highest level. And when you have a life declaration and you have a family, now it's easier to create a family creed. A,
Mm-hmm.
a family creed allows you and I and us to be able to build not only individually, but now we're able to do it together in dealing with this noisy world. So keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Ooh, I love it. What is the most impactful book that you have read or are reading thus far in 2026?
2026. I would say Beckman 8002. it,
Okay.
it's a really weird read. Um,
Okay.
but
Beckman 8002. Okay.
yeah, it's about business professionals
Mm-hmm.
um, um, who talk about the goat life, and they're farmers, but they made these dairy products out of goat milk and everything else. But their life experiences is just beautiful. So it just shows you how you and I and we and us can actually take these life experiences and we can see others going
Mm.
along the same journey. Some
Okay.
people become successful and some have temporary challenges.
All right. Now that's an interesting book. I might need to add that to my list.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
my last question, T, if you could give an entrepreneur one tip in mastering their LOP, SOPs, or mantra, what would it be?
Oh, that's pretty easy. Get and get, get a mantra, but utilize the mantra as a way to develop a life declaration.
Mm.
Because mantras are good in the beginning, but life declarations allows us to live this fabric of faith.
All right. Well, this has been amazing, outstanding. I'm so grateful and honored to get all this amazing information. I cannot wait to share this and let people know where you are, website, Insta, TikTok, wherever you are. Please share your information.
Absolutely. So you can go to Terrell the Colonel, Muhammad, Instagram, Facebook, all that other good stuff. And if you're interested in checking out our nonprofit, kingsaccountabilitygroup.org, feel free to do so there as well. Good to see you, Sister J. Thank you very much for having me on. It's beautiful to see you again and hear your voice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Stay positive, and we will talk soon. I'll put all the information in the description for everyone to be able to check your links out. And remember, be dope, stay dope. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank God I ain't about the old life, I ain't about the old way, cause they said a new season. The old man gon' try to survive with the lies, he despise how you stopping your demons. He wants you to feed yourself, tough yourself, gorgeous, help put yourself out of your reason. He wants you to walk away from the light walkers like him and forget about Jesus.